You have entered the vault of shadows. I am its keeper. Dave, welcome back, kids, to the Vault of Shadows. And I'm, in my Ghostface outfit for one specific reason, because I just find it comfortable. No, no, not the only reason, but it's because we are going to watch the trailer for Scream 7 that has just dropped today. And I thought we'd watch it together. I'll give some comments after. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Here I am in the using our recording facilities here in the Vault of Shadows, which are, about 10, 15 years out of date. So, but anyway, let's check out this trailer for Scream 7.
This is it.
Can't believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
Brr. Oh, oh, that's so cool. It's a motion detector.
Hello?
Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter reminds me of where we grew up.
Well, you sure know a lot about me for another asshole hiding behind a voice changer.
Feeling I know who the killer is.
I want to be a fighter like you. If you hurt her,
I'm not going to hurt her till you're here to see it.
let's unmask this fucker.
Friends died. Just being near you.
Where is my daughter? Tatum, listen to me. He's trying to find another way in. We're gonna do this together. You're gonna have to shoot him through the wall. Where? To the right of the door. Shoot him now! Do it now! Oh, you got him. He's dead. You need to make sure you shoot him in the head.
Burn it all down.
Mother.
This is gonna be fun.
All right, kids. So you hear a couple of things in there that right at the end, I don't know if you
Thank you.
noticed. Well, that's curb your enthusiasm. I'm not sure why
One
it's
more thing before we go.
auto starting here. Let's
I used that unisex
all
bathroom
right.
before the meeting, and I noticed.
Close that there. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of things that could be spoilerific. If you care at all about spoilers for this film, then you don't want to listen to this because I've done a little reading. And I know a few things, but let me just point out some things from the trailer itself first. We're back at the Stu Macher house, which I think is a great place to go back to because it is really where it's the final act of the first Scream, the only Scream, the original 1996 film. And it is that there are some reasons why I think they're doing that. I'm gonna talk about that in a bit. Love the idea that it's a scare B&B because that's a real thing. So there, like the Poltergeist house, if you didn't know, the Poltergeist house can now be rented for a weekend or however long. And I think the real Stu Macher house from the first film, the actual house, not they built a set for later films. I think that can also be rented. I'm not sure if you have to know someone. I know for a while it was under ownership; you had to know the people. But so scare B and B's is a term, and that's a thing, and it's actually a pretty smart idea. I think to if you own one of these properties, then certainly it'd be a pretty good way to make some money. Now, I think the kill there in the opening where the girl falls from the balcony there and lands on the knife. Pretty sure that would break your wrists if you're holding that knife. Maybe not. I don't know. these movies we don't want to think too much about ultra realism, right? But that was a cool kill. That was a cool moment, and I like they incorporated that element in there, right? Let's see what else. The overall plot that we see kind of revealed there, and things about Sydney. I'm going to talk about that after. I think this trailer, like many trailers today, shows way too much. There are things I would rather have not seen, assuming I watch this movie, which we'll get to here in a bit. But I don't think you show the safe house. And yeah, it's good to see that Gale is there. And then Mark Kincaid is that was originally the uh, love interest from Scream 3. Here it's a different Mark, which is odd that they kept the first name, and it's also played by, and I never remember the guy's name when I want to remember it, so I didn't bother to look it up. But he's been in several things. Community. He does a really good job in The Bear, season 2 of The Bear. He's a capable actor. It's just kind of an odd casting to me. Why? I guess they couldn't get McDreamy or whatever his name is back. We have Ghostface. I gotta be honest, the mask looks a little too generic. It almost looks like a one of those plastic Ghostface masks heard me talk about in an earlier video this season. I'm wearing an ultra white from 2025. Why isn't not an ultra white? I'm sorry, this is an EU stamped. Why not just have that? So you may not have even noticed that, but trained nerds will say, "Oh, geez, why is it that why is it that that mask isn't the best they could have used?" But anyway, I think that everything in this trailer looks better directed, looks more interesting than the last two films. So that's all I have to say. In the very end, you do hear "This is going to be fun." That's Matthew Lillard. Okay, so well, let's get into potential spoilers. So here's the deal. I first of all, for me, have been a Scream fan since I saw the first one in theaters way back in 1996 as a college student. In the it was pre-death, and I saw that film and was really impressed by it. And it was great to see slashers treated well again, and it had the new twist of being or angle of being meta and all this business. But I've always enjoyed the films until part three. I thought part three, even though Wes Craven directed it, it was screwed. If you don't know, long story short, Columbine happened, and it was originally going to be set in the high school where some of the scenes took place in the first film, and it was going to be a return to Woodsboro for filming another stab movie. But they couldn't do that. They had to have it filmed in Hollywood, and then Kevin Williamson didn't come back to write it for various reasons, and they got Aaron Kruger, who has some pretty decent credits to his name. But anyway, he did a terrible job, I thought, and the idea of a long lost brother took away the whole idea behind these killings, these movies. When we have Sidney Prescott, it's always somebody she knows. First film, it's Billy wants revenge, is kind of his motive, right? Because his dad cheated on well, he blames Sydney's mom for ruining his family. Then the sequel, spoiler for a movie from 1997, it's Mrs. Loomis, the estranged wife, right, wanting revenge on Sydney because she blames her mother for ruining her marriage, and then blames Sydney because Sydney killed her son, right, in self-defense. And then Scream 3, it's like, oh, hey, here's a long lost brother your mom conceived with this guy. It's like, no, no. And they never interact until the end. And so when he takes off the mask, she's probably like, who the hell are you? Like, so that was terrible. Many terrible things in that movie. Still directed by Wes Craven, still a competent film, and it has a lot of strong points. But overall, I like to pretend that movie is a nightmare that Sydney had in between Scream 2 and Scream 3 or Scream 4, which brings us to Scream 4. Scream 4, in pretty much every way, is what Scream 3 was going to be. They go back to Woodsboro, next generation kind of high school kids. They don't really have any kind of understanding of these things because they're desensitized because it's been the subject of several movies now, stab films, and that was the original idea. And the original idea there too was that there wouldn't just be one killer. At the great end or the end of the film, when you see the great reveal of the killer or two killers, it was going to be in fact multiple killers, and they were all pretending to be killed. And they're kind of like a cult of Ghostface. Kevin Williamson would use those ideas later for a TV series he wrote called The Following. Then we got Scream 4. Not doing as well because of the Weinsteins. Long story there. We're not going to get into that. And then we got these other movies made by Spyglass Entertainment. They're terrible, just awful, awful films. I have nothing positive. People say, "Can you say anything positive about it?" No, I can't. They're terrible films, and they are best forgotten. So my hesitance with this film, Scream 7, is that just by being called Scream 7, it is acknowledging those last two films, which is a mistake. This was an opportunity for the people behind the scenes to say, you know, we really screwed up with those movies. We really, the story, everything, really. The characters nobody cares about that are unlikable, that somehow survive being stabbed, they should at least be like invalids after the amount of damage that's been done to them. And you know, those kids in those Spyglass movies, right, got more damage done to them in 2 films that any of the original cast got in 4. But they're, oh, we're fine, we're just walking around. No, stupid. And that's just one of many, many terrible things about those films. So this was an opportunity to pull a Halloween H2O, Halloween 2018, Superman Returns, and say, hey, those movies were stab films. The audience today would accept that, and that would have been perfect for Scream, which is always commenting on the current state of horror films and films in general. Boom, that's going on right now, and you could say, yeah, just, you know, it's a commentary within the film, maybe never acknowledged, but yeah, those are maybe acknowledge, yeah, did you see stab whatever, and have it mention those events or whatever. But no, they're acknowledging that terrible idea. Then because we saw the 2 Meeks twins, they're Randy, remember Randy, Rip Randy. They are his niece and nephew. Nobody cares, and they should be dead from the amount of stabs that they've received. They're still alive. Hopefully, they're going to die. I was hoping they'd be the first opening kill, but it doesn't look like it. Hopefully, they both die horribly and don't get much screen time. Now, I will say this. Scream 5, which so-called Scream 5, we couldn't call it 5, we have to call it Scream, which was stupid, should have been what this movie's setting out to do, which this movie is focused on Sidney Prescott, and look, she has a kid. That's what they should have established. Now, would her daughter have been that old back in 2020 if it was, you know, since 2011 with Scream 4? No, but you just set it in a few years in the future, and for the 25th anniversary, right, which was 2020, you do that story. This would have been the perfect story, never changing the focus. We don't care about, again, a Billy Loomis had a daughter with somebody, and oh, we're supposed to care for her even though she's crazy like he is, except she just hasn't decided to kill anybody who's good yet. But she's still obviously psychotic. No thanks. No. And I don't care who plays her. I don't care that her sister is played by Wednesday Adams or whatever the hell that one, Jenna Ortega. No one cares. Terrible films. Somehow they made money, and I think probably because there's nothing, nothing else was in theaters at the time, horror-wise, to really compete. So this movie, I think, is too little, too late. I would have loved to have seen this as the original Scream 5 back in 2020, and I've never understood this. They got the guys from Ready or Not, which is a really entertaining film, and Abigail. They're called Radio Silence. They also did a segment in the original VHS. Good directors, no doubt. Good writers. They got these 2 writers, I think, that usually write with them when they make films. Terrible stories. I don't know where they came up with these stories. Terrible. Killing Off Dewey, terrible. And those guys should probably have been as far away from this as possible, because now you don't have the Weinsteins, who were the ones who caused the problem with Kevin Williamson, who's the guy who came up with this idea. We don't have, sadly, Wes Craven anymore. God rest his soul. But you know, we have the guy who learned from him, the guy who worked with him, was in for hours and hours over years in the edit bay with him, Patrick Lussier, who has directed several films on his own, horror films and action films. Trick, which came out in 2019, I think is an underrated horror film. Got a lot of Scream elements to it. But he was the editor for those first 3 Scream films. He's your director. He's a proven director. That's who you get to do Scream 5. And then, yeah, you get Kevin Williamson, who's directing this new movie, by the way. You get Kevin Williamson to write these, and no studio interference. Nobody's telling him he can or can't do this. You do 3 more, and you finish the trilogy, and that would have been great, right? Introduce Sydney's kid, have her friends be kind of the next generation. Boom. That's how you do it. And nah, that's not what they've done, right? So this is acknowledging those last two movies. I'm probably not going to bother seeing this. I'm certainly not going to see it in the theater. I'll be waiting to see this on video, unless somebody buys the ticket for me, in which case I'll go see it. But you know, I love the original cast. Love Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox in those roles. I think are so great. I love that Kevin Williamson is back. I don't know how much of this he's writing. He's directing the film. But yeah, a great trailer. I mean, I thought that was a really good trailer, but I think it's, again, too little too late. And the opportunity, sadly, was right there. Those other two garbage films didn't happen. We're picking up from Scream 4. Oh, look, Sydney's married, has been married for several years. She's got a teenage daughter. And uh-oh, somebody is coming to start things over again. By the way, here's the final potential spoiler. It is very, first of all, AI is going to be one of the things that's kind of commented on in this film. So the killer is going to use the voices of previous Ghostface killers against Sydney. She's going to receive phone calls in those voices, even videos. And they're going to be AI generated images of past killers because all of the killers, with a few exceptions, have actually been revealed to be in this film. Their voices only. And so that's going to be something the killer is going to be doing. And the killer is rumored to be, and it makes sense. Here's how we know. The first film, it was Billy. He wanted revenge because he blamed Sydney's mom for messing up his parents' marriage. So his mom and dad split. Says that in the first film. Second film, it's his mom who wants revenge on Sydney for killing Billy, but also blames her mom for ruining her marriage. Perfect. Scream 3, stupid. No real connection. Idiotic. Didn't make sense at all. Scream 4, it was her cousin Jill, right? So kept in the family here. That was kind of the first time that somebody in her family was coming after her. Well, we can only go so far. You know, we can't have her like third cousin twice removed come in, or some old uncle who wouldn't be able to run around and try to kill people. Well, it's time to go back to one of the original killers and their family. And guess what the family situation with Stu Macher was? Stu had a sister. That's right, a little sister. And that's who I'm pretty sure is the killer. Spoiler, potentially, could be completely wrong. But that's been hinted at, that's been suggested, that's been rumored, and I think those are 100% correct. So we'll see, kids. Love to know what you think. Thanks for watching. Stay spooky.